So for my little research stuff, I did structured recess in elementary schools. What exactly is structured recess? It's a break in the school day during your normal recess that involves planning, inclusive, and actively supervised games or activities. So instead of just having the kids on the playground for the 20, 30 minutes just doing their thing, you actually have goals in mind that you want them to reach during recess and some activities for them to do so they can not really go too crazy. So why would you choose structured recess? It's an increase in physical activity, and as we'll see in a few slides, it also increases moderate and vigorous physical activity as well. There's a reduced bullying effect on structured recess, as we'll see in some of the research that this guy did. Improved conflict resolution and increased participation. There's more people actively involved instead of just walking around watching other people play. The effectiveness of structured recess. This guy, C.A. Howe, he's from University of Massachusetts. He did this study on structured recess in 2 elementary schools. A little background on it. The schools provide a prime environment for interventions that attempt to increase physical activity and prevent obesity. So he thought it was a great place to go ahead and put the structured recess in. His objective was to examine the effect of 30-minute recesses, structured recess using 22 games with known energy expenditure on moderate to vigorous physical activity when compared to free play implemented with 3rd graders from 2 elementary schools over a 9-week span. What he did, he wanted to focus on the moderate physical activity levels and other cardiovascular risks that were assessed pre and post intervention in 27 children. And his results, that moderate to vigorous physical activity during recess did increase significantly from 7 minutes to about 15 minutes pre and post intervention. And that's pretty crazy because it's only 30-minute recess. So some of the kids were half the time in their target heart rate zones. But his conclusion was there was no significant difference in BMI and cardiovascular risk factors, and structured recess is feasible to implement and can significantly increase moderate to vigorous physical activity. A couple of things I didn't put in the slide, but he said that if he had longer time, he feels like the BMI and cardiovascular risk would have improved, but it was only for 9 weeks. And that it didn't matter for girls or boys. They were both the same, both actively participating. Before I get into this slide, they said some of the things I was reading in an article with unstructured recess is that you kind of have 2 types of kids in recess. You have the loners, and they just kind of sit by themselves, and they kind of watch people play, and they don't really know what group they're in or what clique. They taught a lot about cliques, and I didn't really realize it, but in all the elementary schools, you see kids just kind of go into groups, and some kids are just kind of left out, so they don't really play during recess. They just kind of walk around. So this targets those kids as well. They can get them involved because they're like, hey, you're on this team, you're going, and so they kind of start playing, which they can create social networks from there, relationships. And then the other type of kid was the agitator and the bullies, and they just kind of want attention where they don't get it from home or whatever the outside source is, but they tend to target weaker kids and just pick on them. And this kind of reduces that effect because they don't have the free time to just go out and bully people. They're kind of actively involved. They got something going on within the structured recess. So this gets me to this slide. How can we implement structured recess in our schools? Well, first off, not on this, but kind of what we did in 386 last semester. As the physical educator, you can just kind of create your instant activities, hand them to teachers, kind of teach them about it, but real quick 10, 15-minute games that they can teach on their own. Hopefully not using too much equipment because it's kind of a pain to bring all the equipment out for just recess, but something quick, get them moving, flag tag type stuff. But if you still want to have some more ideas, Playworks is this organization that their goal is to instruct teachers on how to run successful structured recess programs. They hold workshops and different little conventions where teachers, not only the physical educators, but any teachers from the school can go attend a workshop, learn some quick games that they can use. And then they have this online database to get some choose from. I'll see if this link works just so you can see it. But as you can see, they have their About Playworks, why would you choose it, how it works. They have these little recess rock stars where like each month they have like the teacher, the mark, and something cool they did. You see this guy's using some hula hoops. I read some of this stuff, just people's story on how they got involved, why they wanted to do structured recess. And then this is just kind of the same information you'll just see about why it works. And then you have the playbook. And they have some games you can use in the game library, but you can check this out sometimes on your own to kind of give you some more examples. But as you see, it's just typical recess type games you'll probably see anyways, but it's just someone supervising. So that's that.